Post distribution can be tricky. Maybe you're using a scheduling tool. Maybe you want to have a even simpler solution. Maybe you want to just dump your files in a Google Drive and let it automatically schedule all the files and post on social media. But if you've tried to build one of these workflows, maybe using n8n, you probably run into the issue with Google Drive not being directly connectable to Facebook API. And in this video, I'm going to solve that specific problem. Okay, so here we have an example sheet I made for this specific video, the Google Drive link. In this case, what I made was him dumping files into Google Drive folder and then the schedule kind of building up automatically, right? And yeah, in this case also, I wanted the posts to automatically go from Google Drive to Facebook or Instagram. Unfortunately though, if you've tried this, you found out that it doesn't work that way. You need to have a separate kind of hosting platform host these files. Usually I can go about most of these cases where I need to. The problem with the Facebook nodes here, if you're trying to make this distribution system yourself, you're probably going to run into a problem where if you look at the settings, these are the settings recommended. Node is the ID of the page you want to post in this case. For example, this is the ID I want to post to, and then I have a post function, the edges media, reels, video URL. Like this API does not accept direct binary file uploads. It needs to come from a URL, but for some reason you cannot use the direct links I usually would use any other service to upload the files directly from Google Drive to Facebook or Instagram, and then you have to do a real bit of a bypass situation. Here I'm going to show you how it looks if you try and post it through a direct link. Here I'm going to try and execute the step. Here we kind of have a successful run, but in reality we can see that it's an error, maybe upload has failed, so it doesn't really work. But if we go and use my method, it does. And how does my method work? Basically I have a little removed different workflow that I call the Webhook bypass, right? It needs to be on, obviously, that's one thing. But here it's really simple. We have a webhook, we then have a downloads file node, and then we finally have a response to webhook. So we get our current system to call upon our sub workflow that downloads the file with the ID we add and sends back a downloaded file. So basically we have this little cache system built in our n8n. A little bit of problems that you need to account for. All these files are going to be somewhere on your server, so have the backend infrastructure in place to delete them with time so they don't pile up. But this is kind of the play here, and it's really cool. So in this example, how this works, we have this little sub workflow. We have our main webhook, needs to be a get function, because in this case we're waiting for files to come in. So yeah, it's a get. Then we have this path can be anything. It's just something to keep it nice and organized. Also, you can add your own authentication if you want. In this case, for simplicities for this review, I'm gonna remain about something disabled, so be careful with that. But yeah, and then response is going to be used in response to webhook node. Also, when the information is sent, you can see that I have my webhook production URL. I can copy this. This is this bit here, like so. Then I have a variable which you need to add using a question mark. Then you have a variable name, and then you have the value, and the value is going to be the file ID of the Google Drive ID of the file I want to add. So it's really nice and neat. I'm going to send a webhook to our little sub workflow, and it's going to contain the file ID of the file I want. Then the next node is a Google Drive node that takes this file ID, takes this variable, and downloads that into this sub workflow cache situation. And then lastly, we're going to respond to that webhook with a file. So from Facebook's perspective, if it didn't like the Google Drive direct link, probably because it needs some kind of verification process in the middle, it needs to be like a really direct link, it's going to receive the file. And you don't need to have a separate kind of system, or so you don't need to buy into any kind of other file hosting services. Here are the settings. I copy them. So input field name needs to be data, or the field name of that you specified here. You can change that here, but honestly just keep it data. Then we're gonna have a content type. It needs to be video/FE4. Content disposition needs to be like this, inline, found in real MP4. And cache control, no store, just so Nothing else needs to be stored. And then, yeah, let's see this new kind of method here. We have the caption, we have the link, we have the reels. Let's see how it goes with our new kind of system. Here we created a container, and then here, if we execute the status step, this, by the way, yeah, gets the status of the container. We can see it works. It's in progress. Finally, so cool. And yeah, so basically, this is, by the way, there's going to be a get function. This is the ID of the container we just built, and then the field we want our status, which is this. So great, now we're just waiting for it to finish its thing. Finished. So once it's finished, you can then pass it on to the last bit, which is publish to IG Reel. I can show you these settings as well. Once again, the same kind of account we used, and creation ID is just a JSON ID. Boom, it's published. There we go. This is the video we just published right now. So yeah, that's cool. Path, it's a bit different. The nodes are like this. You need to first start the upload phase. Then you need to call upon the webhook to download. They basically build, give it the file URL. So here I actually have a upload URL that is given from the last node. You feed into that, and then you send back the URL that we just created. And then lastly, you have the finish phase. You can just upload phase finished. You add the video ID, which is from the last node. You give the state to published. You add the description, and then you can kind of have this token to check the status and make sure everything is good. So you export status, and when it runs down, you can watch. So yeah, that's my bypass. I built bypass situation. Use it. Bye bye.